change behavior due to other people and their influences. Hardboard recycling.
Oh, okay.
Of course, top bottle recycling. There's
Yeah.
a benefit to that.
Well, sure. You get the deposit.
Exactly. Beginner composter. Just to again help my my yard and whatnot. So yeah, recycling is that. I also because of all the awareness put out there with plastic bags and shopping, the guilt if you ever get one. I just can't anymore, so I try and reduce the uses of that. So I do carpool with my husband.
Oh.
So we have a printer that doesn't allow us to print on both sides, so that's really rarely used. And if I have to walk a ways away to get a double sided, I will, because you know they have the signage up everywhere and tell us how long it takes to go through. And I appreciate that the project is staying on top of it and following through on it, which helps. So.
I think the environment was always in the back of people's minds, but that's where it stayed. You know,
It never became.
It never come out. But now, a lot of the stuff that we do now, I think it is taking a lot more. And you see a lot more people involved in it directly, and we get to sit in meetings and listen to them. It's quite interesting what they've got to talk about. I know a little bit of Total and of their approach, and the way that they're looking at stuff is a lot more sensitive, I think, than what the norm. They seem to take a lot more precautions before they act, and they tend to look in greater detail. In our equipment too, and in our trucks, they're much more quieter and less pollution. We burn ultra low sulfur diesel now that we didn't before. It's affected our performance. A lot of times we get less horsepower out of these big trucks than we used to get because of the ultra low sulfur. So, but it's clean. So I mean, we're making sacrifice. Older trucks that we used to maintain because they were a good stout truck. We've pensioned them off because of that. You can't get they can't get the pollution reduced to make you know. So if there is any wildlife in the area, well, these big trucks aren't quiet, you know, so you can't shut them off. But awareness comes from many ways, and I think that if we do take some of it home with us, I know through the work environment we take safety home with us, and we're used to that, and less consumption can be brought in. Like I think with fuel cost the way it is, a lot of us are driving a little bit less. You know, we carpool a little bit more. We have a policy that as we take containers of materials up, we try to use those same containers to bring waste back. Our pipeline jobs, we tend to try to take the recycled oil, like the waste oil when we do an oil change.
Lube oils from.
Sometimes we burn that for heating in the warehouses. And or else just return it all to work in the high Arctic and in the further north and the Northwest Territories and whatnot. And there you see the environmental concerns much more than we have here. So I think we're bringing that closer to home. So the industrial sites like the trucks can't have any leaks. And a lot of that now is the new drivers that we have. They're a little bit, you know, younger age. They're used to doing this at home. And I think they bring some of that training to them. Because, you know, the younger generation, we can learn a lot from that. And I think they're more prone to recycle and stuff than perhaps what we are. So you take that environment with you to a job. I think they are, whether they learn it in school or in university or whatever, but they're more in tune to it than I think perhaps we were. So you can always learn from the younger generation. They keep us on our toes. You know, they make us be a little bit more responsive to what we're doing. And if not, we have to give a darn good reason why you don't do it that way. And in most cases, when it comes to the environment, what kind of an excuse could you use? Say, I don't want to, you know. But other than that, yeah, you do. So no, I think that it's. I've seen changes. We're better planners than we used to be, perhaps. And this is forced because of so much going on, and we have limited resources now to draw from. And it creates a bigger awareness of other things that you can do, and we read our monthly newsletters and we get these little tidbits of, oh, I didn't know that. It's kind of interesting to get those bits, and makes one think, you know, like I said, is there more that I can do? Kind of a thing. Obviously paper is something we have daily, so that builds up, and you know, bottles and glassware and stuff that way also builds up. And you know, so with those recycling programs in place, it's easier to do that. Electronics die, I'll take them to the right place.
Recycling place instead of
Because
just, yeah.
again, it's larger, it's tangible. It's something you don't throw out very often, but at the same time, you know, it's very easy to go to the store while you're in that area anyways, and you know, take it to your e-recycle place and off it goes. To empty our office-sized recycle bins into the larger recycle bins outside in the hallways, and the cleaners empty those.
Okay, all right.
And of course, we have secure ones for project files that we have somebody coming in weekly that empties those. It totally is happening. And again, you see the different initiatives that people take. Our environmental person would bring examples of recycled product, and it's really cool to see some of it. To me, I've got the use out of the stuff I have, and as I'm replacing it, it's not going to landfills. I'm giving it to the next level of people that can use it.
Yeah.
So I hand it down, right? I give it to, you know, I donate it to whomever needs it. And that's just it. I bought a coffee table for $20 14 years ago when I moved here. I'm now going to give it away because I've now decided, you know, it served its purpose. And, but the most recycling I do is bottles and cans. You know, I only throw out one garbage bag, like a full-size garbage bag. You know, you fill up the little ones and dump them in there, which eventually will be phased out as they get rid of plastic bags. Then you just take the can and dump it. Yeah. I throw out one bag maybe every 2 to 3 weeks. I try to reduce as much as I can. I mean, even the smallest speckle of paper I throw in my paper box. Yeah. You know, stickers that come off of something, it's paper somewhere, so I throw it. There's endless ways to do it, but I'm consciously thinking about them more than I would have. And that's, again, I give the credit to the some of the people I, you know, go out for lunch and chat with regularly already have a very proactive approach on recycling already. They even have a greater awareness than, and I've noticed that. And there's, you know, even our environmental person always makes jokes and things like that. So there's, I think there's a lot of people have changed their ways of doing it, and I think it's just getting out of habits, which is the issue.
Total was put a heavily weighted idea on environmental friendliness. I appreciated it for sure because I've always been conscious of the environment, so it was just a nice, refreshing change to hear that was also important to the client. I find that they use email a lot, and when we do print something, it's double-sided always, so that's definitely a saver because we do use a lot of paper in a lot of projects, so in this one it's definitely reduced. Something I thought was kind of interesting and different is that each month they do hold a environmental awareness lunch and learn on various topics, which was an interesting thing to go to, so I learned some things that way. But I definitely am recycling more. I'm more conscientious of it now. I'm way more conscientious about my water consumption and leaving lights on, and I did change a lot of the bulbs in my house, so those ones are the energy efficient ones. So at the home, that's what I feel are the biggest changes kind of in the last 6 months since I've been on this project. At work, I definitely am more conscientious about how much paper that I'm printing. So if I don't need to print something, I don't. Yeah, there's quite a few people that have changed or increased the amount they are environmentally friendly. I think it's a long-term change for a lot of people. Like you said, in my immediate sort of circle that I deal with, for sure. Having the lunch and learns keeps the momentum up, and it makes it so people can't easily forget. I think that all of those things are effective. Like the environmental newsletter that's generated is also a great tool. I read it, and I'm sure that lots of people do, and you get a lot of interesting little tips on ways to conserve energy and things like that. So I think those are all good things to keep in mean, I've worked before and I know that there's differences definitely between this particular project and things that I've worked on in the past. So yes, positive differences.
Yes.